I don't know about you guys, but Google Assistant has gotten progressively worse and worse for me over the last couple of years, maybe few years even. I used to have a little home mini literally in every room of the house. There's one in here, the kitchen, the living room, the bedroom, the sunroom. They're all over the place, and they were really cool. But something started happening where they just started acting weird. They would start replying in the wrong room or sometimes responding to requests that were never made. It just seems like they're getting more and more finicky, more and more often answering me in ways that don't get me where I'm trying to go. It's become quite frustrating to the point that I've actually downgraded to where now there's only like a handful serving the entire house, and I think two of them are the ones with screens, the little screened ones instead of the minis, just because there were just too many dumb speakers all sort of arguing with each other. I'm far from the only one who has noticed that these speakers, that Google Assistant in general, seems to just be getting worse over time. Well, we have something to talk about today because Google has just announced that they are removing a whole bunch of features from Google Assistant. I'm going to have that on screen so you can just sort of read through them. Personally, I've read through them and I don't think there's a single thing in this list that I have ever used, actually. So this is not like a huge thing. Obviously, if some of these are things that you use, that's going to be pretty annoying. But again, they're removing all of these things. You have to ask yourself, why are they doing this? Well, luckily, they've kind of already answered that for us. They say that they are removing these features. I'm going to read a quote here to, quote, focus on quality and reliability, ultimately making it easier to use Assistant across devices. So presumably, these features are underutilized. That's the word that they also used in their little post. These are features that people just aren't really using, and so they're going to just sort of cut them off to make it easier to maintain Assistant across multiple devices. And this does make some logical sense, right? If these are underutilized, and removing them will allow you to prioritize features that people actually use on a day-to-day basis. That seems like a win-win. Honestly, that would kind of fit the description of a lot of the products in the Google graveyard. Hey, no one was really using these, so we're going to kill this thing. We're going to cannibalize any features we can get out of it, and we're going to put those features into the thing people actually are using. They did this with their messaging apps over and over. They've done it with podcasts into YouTube Music. This is just par for the course. Google throws a million things at the wall, like using your voice to send an email or managing a stopwatch on smart displays. They throw everything at the wall, and eventually they determine that this doesn't work or no one's using this, so they kill it and they try to take what they learned and put it into another piece of software or another application, whatever it might be. Now, obviously, every time they do something like this, it does draw criticism, and I think rightfully so, because they can say they're underutilized, but that doesn't mean that they're not utilized by anyone. There are people out there using these things, and even though some of them are going to have, as they try to do, alternatives, ways to accomplish the same tasks, not all of them will have alternatives. So there will be people that will be kind of left out in the rain with these changes, and that is definitely frustrating. Now, why are they making these adjustments right now? This is where we kind of have to try to read those tea leaves, and we're kind of trying to make a connection here. We've talked on this channel multiple times about Google's Bard AI, which I actually use all the time now, and the fact that Assistant with Bard is going to be a thing. I've shown you guys some screenshots from an APK teardown that 9to5 Google did, which shows that this stuff is coming very, very soon. Try Assistant with Bard. And this should take Google Assistant to like a crazy new level of usefulness, okay? Like if you've not used Bard already, I would implore you to go try it, ask it some questions. Like I said, I have it pinned to my taskbar on my computer because I use it multiple times a day. I just ask it questions, and rather than having to Google and scroll and sort of try to gather information myself and organize it, Bard just does it for me, and it's going to be on your phone, part of Google Assistant. It's going to be able to read images and tell you things about the images and look things up about it. It's conversational, And you're no longer going to be like searching, like when we search for things in Google, there's like a weird way that you have to talk. Like you wouldn't ask Google a question in the same way you would ask another human being a question because it wouldn't really work. Bard is not like that. You just ask it natural questions and follow-up questions, and it's just fantastic. So maybe with Bard on the horizon, Assistant with Bard on the horizon, they're clearing stuff out of Google Assistant that isn't being used to free up resources, manpower, focus to make the Bard integration work a little bit better. Now, obviously, nothing's been announced, right? Like, we don't have a release date for Assistant with Bard, so all we have are these APK teardowns kind of showing us that work is being done, and now this happening around the same time, so we're kind of making that assumption there. There is one more thing, though, that I need to point out. When we look at, this list of things that are going away, let me call your attention to one in particular, because that might kind of connect things here. Using your voice to send an email, video, or audio message. Let's hone in on email there. So if you go back to the Pixel 8 event, we saw some stuff happening on stage that seems to sort of take this idea of managing your email from Google Assistant, and it takes it to a different level. And so this kind of ties all this together for me. Maybe some of these things are going away because no one used them, but maybe some of them are going away because Assistant with Bard is simply going to do it so much better that you're never going to want to do it the old way ever again. Obviously, I am kind of making that assumption myself. Again, like I keep saying, I'm trying to read the tea leaves here, but I don't think that that is a super huge leap for me to be making. I mean, they've shown this sort of thing already. What I know for sure is that Google Assistant has become this bloated product. They've tried to make it do too many things, and I think that that is a pretty reasonable answer to the question of why is it getting worse and worse and worse? It's because it's trying to do too many things. So reducing that at your baseline. So just baseline Assistant, don't do as many things as you used to do. Just focus on what you do well and do that well, and then have Bard come in to really augment things. I think that this bodes really well. And I know that the cynical people out there are going to be like, oh, here's Google again, killing more products. And I guess if you want to feel that way, that's totally fine. Go through the Google graveyard, and 9 out of every 10 items are things that nobody was using. But whatever, that's neither here nor there. To me, I know that this could be a bummer for some people, but I think that this is a good sign. This is a realization that they've overextended themselves. Assistant has become too bloated, and with Bard coming in, they need to truly rethink what Google Assistant is going to be, and I think that might be what's happening here. Now, there is this unfortunate side tangent to this. As this is happening, Google is laying off hundreds of people, some of which came from Google Assistant as well as the hardware divisions. It's not just Google Assistant. I do want to say quickly, my heart goes out to the people who lost their jobs. Hopefully they can find gainful employment very, very quickly. Terribly sad to see this type of thing happening, but we kind of have to mention this as well. Are they paring down how many people need to be there to help run Google Assistant by simplifying it as they transition into this Bard future? Is it possible that Bard, being this AI, just kind of allowed them to not have quite as many people working on the project? Maybe there's Bard-specific people, and they're kind of moving over to the Assistant world. Lots of moving parts potentially there, but I did feel like I needed to at least add this part in. But as always, I want to know what you guys think. Are they removing features that you're going to struggle replacing? Is this something that bums you out? Let me know in those comments down below. Do you think that Assistant with Bard is coming sooner than later? How big of a difference do you think that's going to make? Do you use Bard already? Let me know in those comments down below. Hit that subscribe button before you go so you don't miss out on more content just like this, guys. I will see you on the next one. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.